Hi, this is Natalie with the Wisdom Within. This is the Intuition Primer, your magical inner compass. And in this segment, we're going to wrap things up by talking about how to use your intuition. Now, in the prior segments, we were mostly focusing on how to tune in to your intuition. And I really believe in keeping the tuning in and the analytical aspects separate. Again, because intuition is not thinking, it's not an analytical process, it's actually a process of being receptive and open. It's very similar to people who work with their creativity and inspiration. We don't want to use the analytical aspect of our brains when we're in the brainstorming process. Well, in a similar fashion, we don't want to use our analytical brain when we're in the intuiting process, because it's a receiving process. So when you're tuning in and you're going through that 6-step process, there's no thinking, no analyzing, no judging involved at that point. So, but once you've acquired the information, now this is the point where you can bring in your, and should bring in your analytical brain and use it to decipher and determine what the particular meaning is for you, or if you're a coach or an intuitive professional, use it for to help someone else. So basically, when you're working with your intuition, you ask your intuition, because I very believe in it being a proactive process and not always just waiting for stuff to pop into us. But you would ask, you would intuit, and then after you intuit, if something comes through that is not clear or does not make sense to you, feel free to drop in once more, get quiet, ask for clarity. What does that mean? And see what other images or impressions or feelings come through for you. If you're working with oracle cards or some kind of divination tool like a pendulum or runes or tarot cards or something like, or psychometry, you can just go back to that tool, flip a card, use the pendulum again, and ask for additional clarity on a particular topic. That's perfectly acceptable to do that. And so ask for clarification. Once you ask for clarification, you feel like you're kind of to a point where you have enough information, then you would distill all the incoming impressions you received, paying attention to what came through as a knowing, what came through visually. Did anything come through through sight, through hearing or smell or touch or taste or anything like that? Did you feel anything in your body, any sensations in your back, your side, your arms? Just be aware of where things might come in through you. Again, we're all unique and we're all different, so those impressions may come in very different fashions for different people. And you may have a strong propensity for one type of intuitive channel. So by that I mean you may be more visually oriented, so they may come in as pictures, or you may be more physical sensation oriented, so they may come in as strong sensations in your body. So just be aware that everybody is, as many variations are there as there in a snowflake there is in the intuiting process. So just honor your process and be aware of where it comes in. So you would distill all of that information, where it's come in, the exact information that's come in, and then you work at that point on deciphering. What does it mean for you personally? Is this meaning for me now in the present? Is it alluding to something that needs to be healed in the past? Is it for telling something that's coming down in the future that I may want to be aware of and adjust my energy to, or do some healing to prepare for, or just say some prayers to bolster my energy? The deciphering opportunities are endless and very personal to each and unique to each situation. So so once you've distilled the information, deciphered the information, now it's actually time to take action on the information. So if you intuited that some areas of yourself still need healing, then do a healing process. There are many on the internet. There are some cutting cords, exercises, and guided meditations on my website under resources that you can take advantage of, including a 5-step soul healing and forgiveness process that I highly recommend. Typically, any type of healing, forgiveness is always involved. You can say the Ho'oponopono I don't know if I said that correctly, but anyway, you can do that forgiveness exercise as well, and that too is on my website. So I strongly encourage you, if the action was to healing, to avail yourself of some healing, or feel free to reach out to me and I'd be happy to do some Reiki energy healing or hypnotherapy, or assist you in your healing process. Again, your intuition may say to, try this or do that. It's really important that if any information comes through your intuition that's suggesting that you take action, that you step out and take action. And this is because it's a trust and faith building process. And the more you take action on it, and the more you see the positive results, the more you really trust and believe your intuition. And if you keep asking and then you actually don't take action, then you're kind of closing off the ability to continue receiving information, or you're sort of stilting, let's put it this way, you're stilting your intuitive journey. So you'll only advance so far if you don't take action on your intuition. So you can look at my prior videos on YouTube from some real life examples of how I use my intuition, but you can use your intuition to, again, help you decide what's the best place to go for dinner tonight. Or if you're kind of not feeling, in the mood, just say, what would be my next best step right now? It could be go take a nap because your body needs rest. You just don't know, because so often we're busy running around not really paying attention to what we really need. So you can use it to help you determine your next step in life, your life purpose, which job to take, which relationship to pursue. Again, be aware of what emotions are kind of, what your emotions are, and set those aside while you're in your intuiting process, so the information is not muddied by that. And then later you can bring those two together to decipher and discern how you should move forward. So lastly, a few things to be aware of how the intuitive information comes in. The intuitive information can come in extremely literally. It can say, take that next left. That's very literal, because maybe it's helping you avoid an accident or a traffic jam, or maybe it wants you to see a sacred messenger, a beautiful animal or something along the way to make you smile. You just never know. But that is a concrete direction from your intuition. Oftentimes the information comes through symbolical or metaphorical, and that's because that's how the universe works. The universe is all about symbology and metaphors. So oftentimes that's how the information will come through. So you may get an image of a bear coming down a hill, or a wolf with its mother cubs at the water. Or you may see, for one woman I remember doing a reading, and all I could see was Tinkerbell all around her, and this beautiful light energy, and that was very symbolic of a feeling she had in a phase that she was going through. So as corny, as the information comes through, as odd as it sounds, I just say what I see. I don't interpret, I don't decipher while I'm in that receiving mode. I just receive and share what I see, because sometimes I remember one of the times I saw a birthday cake with a couple of black Scotty dogs, and I had no idea what that meant. So I just said what it was, but it turns out they just celebrated this woman's birthday the day before, and she had 2 Scotty dogs, and they celebrated with a birthday cake. So sometimes when you receive information, it has no personal meaning to you, and it doesn't make sense to you, but it has very personal meaning to the person you may be reading for. So anyway, it can come through literal, it can come through metaphorical or symbolical. So just keep that in mind. Your intuition can sometimes be very subtle. It can just be this very soft, kind of fuzzy picture that you receive, or a fuzzy, like a gentle impression. It can be just like a wisp of an impression, or an image, or a thought. And so sometimes it really requires, a commitment to getting quiet on a regular basis, so you can be available for those opportunities to catch those subtle intuitive impressions. And then again, intuition can be very blatant. You know, things can just stop you in your tracks and something tells you to pay attention because, you know, something's going to unfold in front of you. I remember recently I had the opportunity to visit friends in Avon, and I was walking along the beach, and in this area they had a lot of shells that were different from the area that I live in, so I tended to like look along the ground, you know, looking for shells, but something caught my eye off in the water, and then I realized, oh, I wasn't meant to see what that was, but it was telling me to pay attention to the water. So I got to a certain point, it was time to turn around, and when I did, I paid attention to the water, and I saw a dolphin, which I love to do. I love a dolphin encounter, so it just totally made my day. And I just sat there for a few moments enjoying the presence of the dolphin, and then I turned around and I continued to walk back. But I continued to look out towards the ocean, and the whole journey back to home, which was about 1.5 miles, the dolphin followed me perpendicular all the way. It was the coolest thing. And then when I got to the place where I needed to take the path home, the dolphin disappeared. So I got walked home by a dolphin. How cool was that? And I wouldn't have noticed if I didn't pay attention to that, you know, that subtle impression that came through that said, pay attention to the water, something's about to happen. So that's just, you know, an example of the subtle versus blatant way that our intuition can work. And as you saw, that intuition was not saving my life. It wasn't, you know, answering a huge question, but it was something that was bringing me so much delight and so much magic that, you know, I'm so just grateful that I caught that opportunity, you know. So the universe is always treating us to wonderful things if we're just aware. And then the other way to also be aware is that you may sit down to have an intuitive process and go through the 6 steps and then feel like, not much really came through. So I would also say to be aware of what pops up for you during the day, because sometimes when you quiet down your focused attention on what's coming through, information can drop in when you're sort of kind of in one of those mindless states, maybe driving a car or taking a shower, and then especially your dreams when you're sleeping. So pay attention to what comes through in your dreams. You know, if you wake up in the middle of the night and a couple of impressions came through, no matter how weird or strange, just write them down. And then when you wake up in the morning, do the same thing. Whatever bits and pieces you could remember from your dream, just write those impressions down. And then when you have a minute, you can go back to them and see how they might relate to that question you asked previously. So that wraps up the intuition primer, your magical inner compass. I hope you've enjoyed this video series, and we've covered what intuition is, what it isn't, some of its messengers and helpmates, the pitfalls. We've covered several different ways to tune in and tap into your intuition. We've talked about what to do with the information once you've intuited, and we've talked about how the 8 clear senses and how that information can come through symbolically, metaphorically, literally, blatant, subtle, through our dreams and various aspects like that. And the bottom line, we've talked about how intuition is not a thinking analytical process, that it is a receiving process. So I hope you enjoyed this intuition primer, and I invite you to, if you'd like to learn more or work with your intuition on a more serious focus level, I invite you to reach out and consider intuitive coaching with me. If you live locally here in the Outer Banks, you can also attend on Monday nights. We have Psychic Circle where people come out and we use different divination tools, or we practice without the tools on ourselves and each other, and it's just a great supportive environment for us to build our intuitive muscles and share our experiences, because it's really kind of exciting as that journey unfolds, and it's nice to be around like-minded people when we're doing that. And there I invite you to explore other resources on my site. I'm also an energy healer, hypnotherapist, life coach, and intuitive development coach, and a psychic. So thank you for joining me. My name is Natalie Eve Marquis. I'm with the Wisdom Within in Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina. Thank you for joining me.